Hi, I'm Sapha Burnell, and this is Son of Abel, the first in the Judge of Mystics series, published in 2017 by Vreda Literary. A good loneliness, a good insecurity, stone room pines, his will, his mercy, an imperfection to say it and insist, lack of faith, do not explain. Thomas Merton, March 3rd, 1961. Chapter 1. Transcription from the Yeren account of Cardinal Bricius, 778 AD. My lungs ache in my bone cage. I've hefted up the hill's crest and crashed on damp grass. Marta offered to patch my cowl, which covers me from the radiant blue sky reflecting off the fjord's unforgiving crevices. She lost her husband during the raids and longs for another. Fine woman, one gently reminded that Raynar is yet unmarried and my spiritual brother would do well for a wife. My wineskin is fresh as new, no doubt because of my love of its contents. If Christ's first miracle at Cana was indication of our Lord's perpetuations, I can find myself a true follower of his way. Below, the village continues on. Smoke of hearth fires crackle through holes in sod roofs. Children play and the menfolk repair a vessel wide and long to take the seas. The fjord lead only hardy stock to its birth. The scant song spreads across the sky, pouring shadows into a weaver's spindled thread. In this pause, I record a conversation most bespeaking of the Northmen and their ways. Amazing, no? The seed is planted, raids are due, our menfolk ride the seas to bring Midgard's bounty. Have you decided, Bricius? Are you raiding with us or staying with our women? Magni Einritz's shoulders sunk to the grassy earth, his legs stretching beyond my own. Well, the Lord says, love thy neighbor as thyself. I offered Magni my wineskin. The raven-headed Jarl declined. Odin demands his quarter. I demand my bread. Would you have our village starve over a carpenter's words when he lived in fair and gentle season? Did Israel's sons not stoop to Egyptian charity to survive in bleak times? 7 years you've been among us, and still you think us liable to stoop at another's table. Magni's sigh broke the wind. It trailed off and entangled with the village below. Cooperation ought to be better than the constant rut of the sword. How serendipitous it is that the village stands at all. Are your fellows not 3 villages over, waiting for the opportune moment to raid those left behind? This constant killing, it does no one good. The Viking sat up and brushed hair black as tar away from his pale face. How Magni carried himself, how tall. The Viking was a living representation of Saul before he was crowned king of Israel. The Jarl sat pulling up strands of grass, letting them sail off in the steep wind for some time. His voice lilted out in a petulance most out of fashion in my Frankish homeland. You've made my brother into a martyr priest. If it were mine to decide, I'd fix you to the front of our ship. Drown you and your carpenter god. Thor's hammer is as much a tool of creation as it is an implement of war. I watched an uncauterized wound wash across Magni's face. What disaster kept this Viking at a distance from the others, and yet respected more than their gods? I shivered at the thought of Magni's raiding parties returning with silk and gold, and slaves and food. Must there be new notches on his sword? Did my brother tell you that? Magni croaked. If you keep your brother in disregard, the Lord will hold him. The decision to stay was Raynar's, and he will stay by my side as a disciple of the way. Take your ships for survival and bloodlust, howl at the moon, sacrifice to your ashen gods. Mine paid the blood price for our misdeeds, yours are always thirsty. Magni worked his jaw, the muscles of his arms and neck taut. Priest, if you continue to refuse Raynar, I will be his keeper. I rose, fingers curling around the leather of my rucksack to halt the shake of my retreat. I should kill you both and spill your blood at Odin's feet. Maybe then. Magni's voice died off, lost to his own ruminations. I returned to my chapel, where Magni's brother repaired the hole in my roof. Outer Hebrides, Isle of Bernera, present day. Sunlight peppered through the bitter morning fog in the Outer Hebridean Isle of Bernera. A lonely place, Bernera had a few scant settlements known more for 19th century eviction riots than any event of historical significance. What it did have was legend. A legend which decided to spew crossbow bolts at Caleb Mauthisen's face. "Son of a whore-headed bitch!" Caleb slammed down to the ground and slid his boot heel into its grooves. He pushed himself into the corner. His knapsack slopped into his chest. Where was his pistol? The empty HK-45C compact semi-automatic pistol had saved his Scandinavian ass since the Plaza incident in '02. Tel Aviv arms dealers could suck lemons. Lemons and couscous. The gun! He pulled it up and groaned at its missing magazine. Bullets! Son of God, bullets! Go to Bosta, he said. Need nothing but a shovel, he said. Nothing but a shovel, my ass! Stop shouting at me! Caleb pitched his shovel at the marauding local spirit who identified with horned Cernunnos. "You be driving your wedge in our sacred space, Christian," the spirit said. Thwick, thwick, thwick. The desk exploded inward in a tiny exit hole. The bolt clattered against the stone beside Caleb's foot. Wood splinters fell. Caleb froze. "Get off it, buddy! You're as Celtic as my father's hair in the '60s. Bullets! Bullets! Caleb shoved his hand in his knapsack for the spare magazine. Hairbrush? Nope. Wallet? Nope. Scroll? Nope. Pack of gum? He peered over the shopkeeper's desk and ducked as Cernunno's namesake played duck shoot with Caleb's hairline. "Buddy, hey, heard of parlay?" Worth a shot, he thought, digging into the bag. The spirit's footsteps, dead giveaway that, creaked into the stone floor, and Caleb ducked his head into his bag. Where is it? Where in the... "Don't you be digging up our dead, stealing our artifacts, and thinking to be free without your soul in my sights, Mauthisen. What is it with you minor fae and knowing my freaking name? Is it posted on fae.net? Am I that popular? Did my dad write it in my shirt collars? Aha!" The magazine clicked into place. Caleb kicked at a stool at Cernunnos and fired at the spirit tripped. The recoil snapped Caleb's hand back. The room stopped smelling of fungus and moss and took the brimstone tang of gunpowder. Caleb rolled to his feet and kicked the crossbow out of the spirit's fleshly hand. "Stop trying to kill me!" Caleb wheezed. He pointed his gun at Cernunno's face and watched the thick-bearded man smile. "Stop digging up my village, Viking." The grin extended into an inhuman gaping maw across the width of his face. His fingers twitched toward the crossbow, indignant to the metal cannon pointed at his forehead. Caleb put his boot on the fae's chest and pushed until he heard a pop. "Deal. I got what I wanted." Caleb rubbed his forehead with the back of his hand. "It'll damn you what you've done," said Cernunno's craggy voice. "It's not my religion, mate. Not even close. Don't move." The creature grinned, his bearded face contorted in a festering representation of the taint Caleb's father had cured in his day, before his day descended to watching ladies in Parisian fashion trompe down Montmartre. The creature spasmed and reached for a stone knife hidden in his vest. Caleb's gun flared twice. A quivering mass of flesh transformed from the macabre beast of an old Pictic legend to the body of a bleeding, kicking stag. Poor thing. Caleb sunk down to the wall and upended his knapsack on the mossy stone ground. He systematically began refilling the 3 magazines scattered between the ephemera of his current situation. Caleb threw canteen water at the stag's twitching corpse. He kissed the heavy ring of twisted gold strands which curled around his left thumb. The runic engravings buzzed across his lips, a familiar hum in the lull. He popped gum to dissipate the tang of copper in his mouth, tossed the empty pack. He sorted through the tissues, passport, wallet, socks, razor, and rolled-up leather journal until he unraveled a bundled T-shirt. A collection of carved stones, bones, and rusted metal trinkets nestled in a leather pouch. Caleb sliced open the side seam of the ancient hand-stitched bag and tossed the stones away. Sand poured through his fingers. He rubbed his hands on his pants. Runestones, amulet, joy. Ooh, here we go. Inside the bag, a thinner layer of leather peeled from the outer casing. Caleb peeled it back with his thumbnail until the yellowed material flaked off in one large, macabre piece. He chewed his gum to mask the bile rising up his esophagus. The palm-sized flake of skin buzzed in his fingers with a sickly film of gut-wrenching regret. Caleb tensed his jaws. He flipped it back and forth in the light, watching how the light seemed to fight against it, bend around it. Even the sun didn't want to grace the skin with its light. Snapping pictures with his cell phone, he laid the piece of human skin inside his journal and rolled it back up. Flicking through the pictures, he fiddled with the contrast until an ancient tattoo cleared up. A shrill line of repulsion coated his ribcage. Caleb wanted to torch his hands, to throw the entire bundle into an oak wood fire and sink the soot to the bottom of a deep-sea trench. The gum popped and slicked around his teeth and tongue. Caleb shut his eyes and remembered to breathe. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? What have you done? The voice of thy brother's blood cries from the ground, and now thou art cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be. Son of a bitch. I got you. How the mark of Cain had gotten buried in the sand of a picnic village in the Outer Hebrides, Caleb Mauthisen shuddered to imagine. The Picts had, from all accounts, done everything from totem worship to human sacrifice, as most European religions had at one time or other. In modern times, such unholy events were distant genetic memories, horrible nightmares humanity had evolved away with the eve of science, reason, and the sacredness of human life. Yet something held a strong enough power to bring back the old spirits to defend the plates. The dig appeared recent. Shovels and pickaxes lined the road too easy to find. One man digging shouldn't have awakened Cernino's spirit into possessing a stag. Caleb shook the sensation off and repacked his bag, shoving the runestones in for good measure. Ancient runestones would sell high enough to stem the tide of his dwindling bank accounts. Pitching the stag's body off a cliff, Caleb limped toward the town of Brickleet and put his cell phone to his ear. Hey, Finnegan, I need a door. Get me off this god-forbidden rock, will ya? Yeah, Dublin works. Thanks. The old woman would never forget the moment a blonde stranger with a canvas rucksack opened the tailor shop's door and disappeared. This was Chapter 1 of Son of Abel by myself, Sapha Burnell. Read by myself, Sapha Burnell. Come back to the channel to hear Chapter 2 in a couple of days. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Bye.